What's up, Clashers? Turin56 from iKonik here, bringing you another base breakdown video. And we're going to look at this base here and how I was able to get 3 stars using a surgical Hogowiwi attack. So as always with these videos, first we'll look at the base itself, talk about the traps, look at potential weaknesses and why I chose the strategy that I chose, and then we'll go ahead and watch the replay. So first things first, we'll paint in the traps here. This was a cleanup attack, so I knew where all of these traps were going into my attack. Now the first attack on this base by a clanmate of mine, Daniel, he used hogs as well. He used a mass hog deployment. Now it wasn't a bad attack, but it wasn't able to get the 3 stars because he just lost too many hogs and ran out of time at the end. He beat the base in the sense that all the defenses were down, but he just ran out of time. And the reason why is because his hogs just split into too many groups on him. When he deploys his hogs, he deploys them all from the east side here on these 2 defenses. And as they push into the second layer of defenses here, just look how densely packed all of these defensive buildings are. You know, from the second tier even into the core. That is it's gonna split your hogs up. There's just no getting around it. Every time they take down a defense, there's just too many options for them to spread out to, and they're not going to path together in one group. So eventually they split into 2 groups, and then into 3, and then of course into 4, and then they just become impossible to heal effectively. So he just lost too many and didn't have enough cleanup for taking down this base at the end of it. The only way to create a directionality on this base would have been to send a kill squad in so deep that you effectively, get all the way to the core and take out a bunch of defenses along the way, and then at that point you can create some sort of clockwise or counterclockwise directionality. But he wasn't able to get that deep with his kill squad. So I figured this would be perfect base for a surgical deployment on hogs. If you're not familiar with the surgical deployment, it's basically, instead of one mass group, you send them in 3 or 4 hogs per defense with some giants out in front of them dropped first, so they tank the point defense on the exterior, and then you save your heals for closer into the core. So let's look at how I did this. 2 giants down over here is going to easily grab me that clan castle lure. As you can see, the radius extends way outside. I will anchor up north with an archer, and once the troops get there, I'm just going to distract with a few barbarians, and that's going to give my witches time to spawn their little skeletons, and then I'll drop my archer queen as well. Very traditional kill squad. Now I'm going to let these ladies up here take care of the enemy archer queen, because I have something else in mind for my barb king. I'm going to use him as essentially another tank down south to help protect my hogs when they're deployed down over the way here, and also take out that barb king, because he's right on the exterior there, and I don't want to use my heals till I get into the inside of the base. And even though the level 10 barb king is going to be a threat to hogs if they're just sent in 3 at a time that aren't under heal. So let's see. So once I've got this clan castle pretty much under control, the golem goes down here, a wall breaker in here with a couple wizards. I'll create a funnel taking out those garbage buildings, and that's going to get all of this kill squad down into this chamber here, and they're of course going to be able to take out that archer queen. They're able to take out those wizard towers as well. Completely nullifies the effectiveness of these giant bombs up here, because my ranged troops are what's taking out those buildings there. My hogs are never going to path there. So now I'm free to proceed with the hog portion of my attack. So I start from the west and the east corners roughly at the same times here. I'm going to drop 2 giants. They're going to push in, and their goal is to tank for these point defenses right here, just long enough to get my hogs in there. I'm going to drop 3 per defense. At least I tried to drop 3 per defense. I actually only got 1 in on this guy, and I didn't even notice it until too late. So the west side doesn't start off well, but I come back to it later. Once the corners are going, then I'm going to drop 1 more giant over here. He's going to tank for these defenses over here. and then my Barb King straight in from the south. The Barb King is of course going to take out the opposing Barb King, and also he's intended to tank for this guy over here, possibly even that guy if the range is deep enough. And while those tanks are working, I'm going to send in 3 hogs on each one of those defenses there as well. So all of these point defenses, with the possible exception of this guy over here, are being tanked right now by giants or my Barb King. So that's going to free up my hogs to get through this first layer of defenses, which is a lot of defenses. Which, look at this, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 defenses all on the perimeter there, going down without needing any heal spells. They're going to go down really quick. And then once they get into the second layer, obviously I'm going to need heal spells over these giant bomb areas. Even though this one is kind of wasted because my hogs die over here because I didn't send in enough. I'm going to use one over here to cover these wizard towers, and then one to cover the majority of the core there. And at first, this attack doesn't look like it's working. If you're used to seeing hogs in huge groups of 20 or 30, it looks like it's about to die out because you look around the base and you only see 2 or 3 at a time, and you're thinking to yourself, oh, this is never going to work. But as they start working their way through to the second layer and then eventually the core, you realize how many hogs are still alive with this technique, and they all meet up in the core. And essentially, the strength of this base that was showed and against the mass hog technique, with how dense these defenses are in the core and how they split up hogs into a whole bunch of different groups, is a weakness with the surgical technique. Because the defenses are so dense in the second layer and in the core, they're so easy to heal once these perimeter defenses are taken out. It works against it. So a nice option to have when you're looking at how to hog a base. Alright, enough of me talking. Let's watch the replay. I say that, but of course I'm not done talking. Wasn't quite sure if I had the full lure or not there, so drop that extra giant. I think I would have liked to have had him for a little mini tanking later on, but better safe than sorry with the clan castle, because even one wizard can wreck your hogs. Very traditional clan castle here, nothing too fancy. You notice I stagger my witches there. I like to have like a half a second or so difference between when I deploy them, and that keeps those skeletons coming out at a slightly different pace. So there's always just a constant flow of skeletons coming out to tank for them. And eventually that Archer Queen is going to go down there, and you can see I've got my giants dropped and my hogs dropped. I'm going to get those heal spells down now because I don't want those giant bombs to wreck that first wave. And then my Barb King is down, the second giant down there to tank there. And so all of that southern wave of hogs is free of attack for the majority of it there. And you can see as those hogs make their way towards that core, how many of them I still have alive left. More than enough to take out this base. And one of the huge advantages of this attack is if you can time it well like that and get all your hogs to end up in the core, they're going to be right on top of the town hall. A lot of experienced hoggers are going to be familiar with the the 92% 1-star, the 98% 1-star, because they took out the entire base, but the hogs ended up far away from the town hall, so that was the last building that they were going to target. With this strategy, with the surgical hogs, they're going to end up in the core, close to that town hall, so even if you do run out of time, you're almost guaranteed a 2-star. Alright, you guys, thanks for watching. Sorry about how long that was, but I wanted to get all that out. It's the first video I've done on surgical hogs, so I wanted to get you guys a lot of information on that one. Alright, until next time, you guys, this is Turin56 saying keep on clashing.